going to walk through Jamboard and talk about how you can be using this in your sessions, as well as how you actually create an actual Jamboard. So let's get started. So today we're going to learn those one-on-ones, those basic skills. We're also going to talk about different types of resources and ideas of how you can be learning this process. And then we're also going to give you some time to create activities. I've been using Jamboard for a number of months, as well as supporting others to create some different ideas. So I'd like to give you some time to really create it and say, I'm stuck, or what do I do, so that you have someone to bounce some ideas off of each other, others as well as myself. So we'll get some time to actually create some things. So what is Jamboard? Well, first of all, Jamboard is two different things, and I don't want you to be confused. First of all, Jamboard on the right-hand side is called a kiosk. It's not something that you need. It is a very expensive item that you can project on, but it's also what I have on my computer. It is something from Google Suite that you have access to, either from an education perspective or from a free account. I have a Google account that I personally have, and I'm able to share between my personal account and my work account. So I'm able to see if something is showing properly between the two accounts. So your student does not always have to have an EDU account if they are working in a different type of a system. I know some schools do not always have EDU accounts, so you can be rest assured you're able to share these types of systems when you're working in Jamboard with schools that may not have an EDU account. I know sometimes people are concerned that they're not able to share everything when they're working in Google. So I've got an actual image here of what a Jamboard looks like, but you don't have to worry about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to take a big red X, and I'm going to cross off this kiosk. You don't need a kiosk to be able to do what we're going to do today. You are able to share across many, many different platforms. I'm actually looking at my iPad at the moment in case someone is on a phone or they're on a different type of a device. I'm not screen sharing onto my iPad, so I don't have to worry about a lot right now, but I will be able to pull up any type of Jamboard on a tablet. So if I had an Android tablet next to me, I would be able to log in and show that as well. You also, when you return or are in current sessions in a session in a classroom, you're able to project this into onto that screen at school so that your students can see this. So if you are in sessions at the moment, or when you do return, no matter what type of session you're at, you'll be able to have those projected right on the screen so students can see this and be interactive with it as well. So no matter what you're doing or any type of session, you're able to share with your students in any type of activity. If you notice on my screen, I'm going to hit the next frame at the top, and that's what they're called. They're called frames, and I'm going to move to the next page or frame, depending on the language you're using, but I'm going to use frame, and that's what they're called. And some basics. This is a Google product. So again, I can use it on most platforms. There are some platforms you may not be able to use it on, but most platforms of what you're able to use it on, you will be able to. When I talk about most platforms, I talk about rare platforms of what you may not be using, platforms I'm aware of because of the technology items that I use, more rare items that most schools do not. You do have to have internet. If you don't have internet, you're not going to be able to do this. So please be aware of that. Recently, Google did change some things. So you have to be aware of 16 touch points. And touch points are people being able to access a Jamboard. So there are only, if I'm looking at this correctly, there are 5 of us on the Zoom call at the moment. So all 5 of us, if I gave the share code to this Jamboard, could be on here. So 16 of us could be working and manipulating this Jamboard. Recently, Google did change that. They had it much higher, and we are aware that they were having problems, and we know they changed that purposely. So please know that if you're using this in a classroom, that it was changed down to 16. Also, you know that I have frames up at the top, and there's only a maximum of 20 of those frames, or commonly known as pages. So I can only have a max of 20 pages or it will stop adding them. So those are most of the common basics you need to know about. Now, let's talk about what you see on this left-hand side. And I've taken an image. How do you access this? Well, I go to my Google, which we commonly refer to as the snowman, and I start looking at how to find my Jamboard. Whoops, I apologize. I am not in my right spot. Let me open another one, and I'm going to go to my Google. So I'm going to open my apps and go to my Google. And I'm going to click on my waffle. And I'm going to find my Jamboard. My Jamboard has been moved to the top because I use it so often. When I click Jamboard, it moves me into all of my Jamboards. And if you notice, the talking tools is the first one because that's the last one that I was in, because I have chosen that's the last one I've been in. I'm going to quick come back. So I went waffle, I scrolled down and chose Jamboard, and it popped me into all of my Jamboards. So we always need to start in Google, okay? And then we can choose whichever one we want to open. So I had to open this one, which is called Talking Tools. But you always start at Jamboard within Google. When in doubt, you can Google Jamboard and it will put you there. Jamboard and any other type of Google product, when you Google it, it will allow you to go into those products from there. The next section, I was just jumping us ahead a little bit earlier, were the different tools. Now these are on your left-hand side, and I have given them different titles and pulled out some of them. So our pen is at the top. If I just hover over it, it will give you the titles as I come down. So it won't allow me to pick it as I hover over them. But as I start clicking on them, they will pull what I've used previously. So, and when I click a second time, they do pop over. So I had chosen red previously. So when I just clicked on it once, it immediately chose. But when I choose pen, it gives me many different options. I can just write as a pen. I can start pulling much thicker as I go to the right, or I only have 6 options. So please be aware of that. You're limited when you're using Jamboard. I have an eraser. I have a pointer. I also have sticky notes. And sticky notes are great because I can create a sticky note based off of information I write. I also can change the colors, and I can increase how large that sticky note is. And you'll notice that as I move forward. I can also insert an image. If you've noticed, I've inserted an image here with some colored pencils, and then their shapes. So in this case, I've clicked it once. It wants to grab the circle. When I click it again, it will want to grab whichever item that I click on. And then I start creating that on the page. So I've just created a rectangle. Now, because I am on the rectangle, it allows me to choose different items at the top. I can change the color fill. So maybe I want to make the color fill pink and the outline a different color. I can also make it transparent. And these are new tools that they've changed over time. So you'll see changes from now until the, in a month or 2 months or 3 months, they'll start giving you more options across the top, and you'll start noticing those. There's also a text box, and you can add a text box. That's how I've added Jamboard 101 and the different features on the side here. And then there's also laser. So I could show you and point out different information on the screen as we're walking through. So important things for you to be aware of. Very important, as I said, I am on my iPad on the side and I'm able to look at different things. So if you're going to log on and work with your student on an iPad, they do have different features. You'll notice that there are additional features here. I'm going to pull up my laser again. They have different features here on the pen. So it's called assistive drawing tools. As a student starts writing, when they are using the pen feature, if I start writing my name, Tammy, it's very difficult as someone who's using my mouse, or if I wanted to use the iPad, I could. But when you're on the iPad using the assistive drawing tools, this lettering would turn my words into actual text. So it's a combination of text box and pen that work together, and the students could start seeing their words morph together from just trying to write their words into actual letters. It also happens with shapes. As they start having a circle and it looks a little ragged, it actually turns into a real circle. They can actually draw different animals as well. So you'll start seeing that if you ever work on some type of a tablet, either iPad or Android, whatever type of tablet you're working on. They also have different types of stickers, and these work really well as students are trying to add to the page or do different types of designs as well, or yourself as you're preparing to work with your Jamboard too. When we move on to how you're going to share, that would be your 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Beside it is your share. Right now, I'm only privately sharing with myself for this specific Jamboard, but when you share, you're able to add other people. In this case, it's just going to want to add me to either add someone at the top, or I'm able to get a link. So there's different ways to share, but you're also able to download a copy. And the way that you have a copy in the PDF form in the shared drive was I used the second link. You're also able to save a frame as an image, and that's actually how I use this back image for every page, so that it didn't have to keep putting everything in the same spot. You can also make a copy so that if I wanted to make any large changes, I could make a copy and either make minor changes, or I could make major changes depending where I'd like it to be. The other nice feature I like is you can send feedback to Google. You can send feedback to Google in every product Google has. And they appreciate that because when they get enough feedback in one area, they start making changes there. They also look at the importance of some of those, and they do make those changes quicker, or they look at them and consider them as well. So this is a really great feature for you to look at. And there's different ways for you to see your jams. When we look in Jamboard, most people have 2 different views of how they're going to look at it. When you're looking on your tablet, it looks a little bit different, but at the top, this is what's called grid view. You're able to see your first 4 frames as you're looking through your jam. So if you notice, I have a bingo and I have 4 different frames that you're able to see here. Here is our quote unquote PowerPoint, or our Jamboard for today. Here's page 1, here's page 2, page 3, and page 4. Or if we look at row view, we're only seeing the first page of what we're able to see. So it depends on what you want to see when we do this. So we actually look at how we're showing this when we're in our Jam section. And I'll show you that in just a few moments. There's also different views of how you can sort. Just like you can sort in Google Drive, you can be sorting this. So in this case, I have them sorted as last opened, so I can see what I've last worked on. You can sort them by and owned by specific people. So it just depends how you want to sort them. And again, these are at the top, right above where you're working. All right, so we're going to go into some resources and some ideas. Now that we've gotten the basics completed. I have a document in the Talking Tools folder that you have, and this is a PDF. It's called Resources. And at the top, there are 4 different resources here. And these are really about how you can be working in Jamboard, some support for you. These are some great different areas. The last one is a really important one. It's about how to lock images. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my selection tool. I'm going to notice, and I'm going to show you, I can move this insert of an image. And all I did was take an image of that resource page. I can move everything on this page. The difficult part is that when your students come, they can start moving things. You will want to lock items so that your students can't move everything. You're only going to want them to move what you would like them to move. I've purposely not locked any of these. And the reason I haven't locked any of these is because I want to show you how to do this in this moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change how we are magnifying this page. So I'm going to take it down to 25. I'm going to create a text box. I don't care what color the text box is. I just need to create it. And now I need to make this text box as large as I can. Because what I'm going to do is make this text box to be covering our section. And if you notice, I have to be over top of the Jamboard page, that frame, as we're working through it. And if you notice, it is large enough that it is beyond our frame. So if you can see, it is to the sides. It is well beyond our sides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit to the page. And if you notice, I cannot move anything. That is what this last link is going to show you what to do. That is what I've just shown you myself. I cannot move anything on this page. As long as I don't move that, I cannot move anything on this page. If you place an item, I'm going to place a sticky note here. I'm going to say lock jam. And now that's the only thing I can do. Okay. I can only move our sticky note. So now I've made a sticky note. I clicked on sticky note. If I hit the 3 dots at the top, I can either edit it. So now I can go back to it and click save. And I can move it, but I cannot move anything beyond, whoops, I can move that if I'm not careful, make it even bigger. So some of you are going to have to make it really big for your students, depending on how smart they are. There we go. So I can only move my sticky note. I cannot move my resources text box. If you notice, I keep hitting it myself because I'm being too smart. I'm going to move it really, really big. And you have to be over top of your jam as you do this. All right, so there I am. I'm only moving my sticky note. You can add more sticky notes if you need to, and you can change it. Whoops. You always need to click on it. It's the one thing I forget to do is to click on the sticky note. And then you click on the back and you can share and look at it. And then you can make it as large as you want. If you notice, I pull from the bottom. When you pull from the top, those 3 dots will want you to either edit. You could make another one, Do you notice I made a second look? Or you could delete, or we could change orders. And that means we can be pushing it behind another item. We can be moving it around. I'm going to delete this one. And that's how we work with the different sticky notes. That's how we work with the text boxes and the different shapes, as well as we pull in the different images as well. All right. We also have some different ideas. I've given you some samples. I've given you some different pages that have samples that you will be able to force a copy and be able to change some things. So these are some great samples that you may want to use. The last two are different samples that I'll show you on my, my frames as well. But these are 3 great links that I enjoy and I've used over time to show people how to use in different ways. Also, if you're working with other teachers, they're able to use them as well so that you can collaboratively work. And there's some great ways to gain some resources as well. So now we're going to talk about creating. I have created a great resource pile in my Jamboard, and that's a place where we're going to look at in just a few moments, but there's different types of mazes and games that you can create. There's also different types of activities. Just looking at where you are and where you want to go next is someplace that we can look at. We want to give you some time to explore. I have different types of sticky notes here. We can go to and adding an image, and you can either upload it from your computer or from your Google Drive, or if you have photos. You can also look at those shapes and look at the text boxes. So lots of different ways for you to be exploring. I want to show you my Jamboard and show you different things that I have in here. I talked about owning by anyone or owning by me. You can have them alphabetized by different people, as well as the different ways of looking at them. So in this case, I'm only looking at my first page, but as I had told you before, you can look at the whole page at 4 of them. And then what you can do is look at additional pages by scrolling over. So it's a really nice way of looking beyond just opening that first page. So really a great way to see different processes. I did just click on one, and the reason I clicked on it is because I want to show you how to go back to looking at all of those Jamboards you have access to. So I clicked on my core board examples. When I click on the icon for Jamboard, you then can click on that icon again, and we're going to go back to all of those Jamboards that we had access to. So when you start creating Jamboards, they go into your Google Jamboard. All right, so I'm going to give you some time to ask some questions. I'm also going to give you some time